and clear, blue skies overhead. Another perfect sunny day for baseball in Arizona as our Cactus League coverage continues. Today we're in Scottsdale as the D-backs host the Milwaukee Brewers. Arizona Diamondbacks baseball is brought to you by your Valley Honda dealers. Good afternoon and welcome to Salt River Field to Talking Stick. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly along the way. Today it's the D-backs and the Brewers. Taijuan Walker on the mound for the Diamondbacks today. It's third spring start. And Bob, if today is anything like Walker's first two spring starts, we're in for quite a treat.
Yeah, this guy has been a perennial prospect. And first of all, great move by Mike Hazen to get Taijuan Walker over here with the Diamondbacks. It came at a high cost. Arguably the best player on the team last year, Gene Segura. But Taijuan Walker's one of those guys that has been projected to be a top-of-the-rotation starter, and he's showing signs of it this spring.
Well, it should be a good pitching matchup. Walker on the mound for the Diamondbacks, and former D-back Chase Anderson gets the start for the Brewers. First pitch is coming up next on Fox Sports Arizona. The Diamondbacks and the Brewers from Scottsdale. Arizona is brought to you by your Valley Toyota dealer. Visit your local Valley Toyota dealer or shop online. Toyota, let's go places. By Northern Arizona University. At NAU, we see possibility in every direction. By Tire Pros, everything rotates around you. And by Sanderson Ford. The best play is at Sanderson Ford. Well, another big crowd here in Scottsdale. Another perfect Arizona day in spring training. Cactus League all over the valley. We're here at Salt River Fields. Taijuan Walker on the mound against the Brewers. First pitch next.
This
comfortable here in Scottsdale. 82 and sunny. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way from Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, where the Diamondbacks 6 and 7 in Cactus League play so far this spring. In their 7th season here at Salt River Fields, are ready to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Torey Lovello and company set to go. Brewers playing a split squad game today. The other half of the team, Bob, is back in Maryvale.
Yeah, Ryan Braun scheduled to make his Cactus League debut today over in Maryvale. So manager Craig Counsell stayed back there to watch his superstar outfielder. And Pat Murphy, former ASU head coach, will manage the ball club here for Craig Counsell. Keon Broxton will lead it off in center field. Eric Sogard will play shortstop. Travis Shaw, traded over from the Boston Red Sox this winter, will play third base. Jesus Aguilar at first. Kirk Neuenhuis will be the DH. Michael Reed playing right field. Brett Phillips in left field. I can't even imitate his laugh. Andrew Susac doing the catching, and Yadiel Rivera at second base.
Brett Phillips, who has become famous all over baseball for his laugh, and we strongly urge you to fire up the old laptop and just type into YouTube Brett Phillips laughs, and you will be immensely entertained.
We sat up here for half an hour.
He has looked extremely good so far in 2 starts this spring. The D-backs around him. Our eye on defense brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Outfield will be comprised of Jeremy Hazelby.
Off will be a former Diamondback, Keon Broxton, who, as you can see, is having a great spring. 9 for 23, couple of home runs. He's hit safely in 7 straight.
If he can find a way to continue to get on base at the top of the order, Brewers could score a ton of runs this year.
Yeah, last year, Broxton's first significant time in the big leagues. He was acquired from Pittsburgh. 75 games with Milwaukee last year. Hit .242 and 9 homers. Also stole 23 bases. He can run. Yes, he went. First strikeout today for Taijuan Walker. 1 down. Injury. Only played in 2 minor league games all of last season, but now he's with Milwaukee. That slap toward third. Vargas is there. 2 down. This is sort of the way it's gone for Taijuan Walker so far, Bob. In his 2 previous spring starts, he has been ruthlessly efficient.
And throwing a lot of strikes. One thing you'll notice around the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League, pitchers that have trouble finding the strike zone tend to get knocked out of their outing a lot sooner than the manager would like. And so far for Taijuan Walker, he has been nothing but a strike thrower, forcing the opposition to swing at some early counts, get some quick outs. It was going to be tough down there at third base, or first base for that matter, for Travis Shaw. So they flipped him out for Tyler Thornburg. A nice piece in the bullpen for the Red Sox. Shaw will get an opportunity.
Strikeouts in a 1-2-3 first for Taijuan Walker. D-backs coming up against Chase Anderson.
Certainly the Diamondbacks should be familiar with Chase Anderson. A number of these Diamondbacks players played with, behind Chase Anderson in the minor.
Off for the Diamondbacks. AJ 3 for 13 on the spring. AJ 0 for 2 with a walk in the game Wednesday here against Team Mexico.
Saw a little bit of Team Canada against the Dominican Republic yesterday.
Yeah, that Dominican team's loaded.
They are loaded.
Holy cow.
8 guys that were
for Team USA tonight. It's quite a part of the order there that they have. Jim Leland for Team USA. They have Arenado, Goldie, Posey, and Rivera, the second baseman. Tough throw, and he makes a nice play to throw out A.J. Pollock. Yadiel Rivera at second base, 1 away.
Well, Rivera Rivera cheating up the middle of the field. You can see there that ball's banged to the shortstop side of the bag, but Rivera gets to it. Strong off balance throw over there to first base.
He has impressed. Homered here Sunday against the White Sox. Doubled and had an RBI Wednesday in that game against Mexico's W.
Isn't hit particularly hard, but hit in a good spot. First breaking ball we've seen from Chase Anderson. And
Hazelbaker, another guy getting a long look in camp this spring. And with the injury to Socrates Brito, the Diamondbacks are really on the look now for a guy who can hit left-handed and play center field. They need a backup for A.J. Pollock, and Hazelbaker and Gregor Blanco now seem the two prime candidates for that.
Rather than head first, but also you're in better position to get to your feet and advance to the next base in case it's a bad throw or ball gets away from a fielder, and you might be able to advance.
Otto last year broke his toe, and he suffered a broken hamate bone getting ready for winter ball, and now a dislocated finger. There goes Pridey. The throw from Susac is high. There's a little more of a wind-up, sort of more of a hip turn toward third base. He wanted to get a full wind-up and use his legs more, get more rhythm. So it's a little more deliberate. Reed homered in the Brewers win over the Padres yesterday in Peoria, his first of the spring. Taijuan Walker is a big dude out there. The 99 fits. 6'4", 235. That's on a plane. It's 1-2. These two are familiar with each other, Chris Iannetta and Taijuan Walker. Chris caught Walker in Seattle last year.
So that last pitch, he didn't even give a sign. He just put the target up on the outside corner, and Walker went into his windup, threw that fastball out there, fouled away.
Yeah, that's one thing about Chris Iannetta. He's caught Taijuan Walker. He's caught Tom Wilhelmsen. He's caught Zach Greinke. He's caught Kevin Jepsen, having played in Anaheim and Seattle. Called strike 3. 6 up, 6 down with 4 strikeouts for Taijuan Walker. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Since the first day of spring training here in Scottsdale, so far 6 up, 6 down, 4 strikeouts. And fans, tomorrow our D-backs spring training coverage on Fox Sports Arizona continues. It's the D-backs and the Giants here. Robbie Ray on the mound for Arizona. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock tomorrow. It's brought to you by your Valley Honda dealers, also streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Chris Iannetta, the D-backs catcher, leads off the second against Chase Anderson. Diamondbacks have a 1-0 lead on Jason Pridey's RBI single in the first. Chris so far this spring 3 for 8. He had a nice day at the plate here starting Tuesday against Oakland. Chris hit 2 doubles. He walked. He had an RBI. He scored twice. And he absolutely blistered a line drive rope straight out to dead center that hit halfway up the batter's eye. And he's dunking this one into right field, but there's Reed to run it down. That was one of the hardest hit balls we've seen in this ballpark in quite some time. That Iannetta double the other day against the A's.
Now, when you hit a line drive 425 feet to straightaway center field, you've struck the ball extremely well, and Iannetta seems to be seeing it well, getting the barrel on the ball pretty consistently in the early going.
Nick Ahmed 4 for 24 this spring. He's knocked in 4 runs. Nick getting the start at shortstop today. Chris Herman the DH. There's the defensive lineman for Milwaukee. Nick told us the other day his main thought this spring in terms of the offense is more of an approach to center field and right center field. That's where he wants to hit the ball. If he can just focus on hitting it up the middle or going the other way, he thinks the base hits will drop in.
Well, and it's based on experience. He's found that most opposing pitchers, especially when they get ahead in the count, they try to get you out away. So try to cover that pitch, drive it to the opposite field, and force the opposition to throw something eventually that you can pull.
Two balls and 1 strike. Chase Anderson 2 seasons with the Diamondbacks, just under 50 starts as a D-back, 2014 and 15. A 15-13 record and a 4.18 ERA while with Arizona. And he's fallen behind on Ahmed, 3-1. Domingo Leyva on deck, getting the start at second base today. Big cut at the 3-1 fastball from Nick. Full count 3-2. Aguilar first makes a nice sprawling save and then slides feet first into the bag. And he gets Ahmed for the second out.
I'm not sure if he caught that ball or that ball caught him. Hit like a bullet. Actually fielded it behind his body. Has time to get up and race to the bag just in time to get Nick.
There's no Chris Carter in Milwaukee this year. He's with the Yankees now. So first base may be a bit of an open question for the Brewers this season. 2 down for Leyva.
Probably have trouble finding somebody that's going to hit 41 home runs like Carter did last year.
To go along with the 200+ strikeouts. Yeah. Domingo Leyva 4 for 15. Now, this was not the off season to be a power hitting first base type. We saw guys like Mark Trumbo and Chris Carter and Mike Napoli out there on the open market for a long time. Market was a little saturated with those types of guys, the power hitting right-hand batters who don't play a whole lot of defense. Trumbo wound up getting a 3-year deal to stay in Baltimore. Napoli went back to Texas at the last minute, and the Yankees finally called and signed Chris Carter to a 1-year deal. I think this is Napoli's 3rd run with the Rangers. He's gone back and forth 3 times now.
Safety net.
We will see Texas coming up here Tuesday. We'll have that game on the TV side for you next week. Diamondbacks and the Rangers. A lot of people thought Colorado might sign one of those guys, but they insisted they signed Ian Desmond to play first base. Some folks thought, well, they may say that, but maybe they'll move him into the outfield and sign one of those Napoli Trumbo type guys, but they're sticking with Desmond at first. Leyva slapped the 3-1 the other way. Phillips is there. And we'll take a look at Brett Phillips. When we come back, he'll lead it off. It's 1-0 D-backs. Constantly trying to get him to laugh. Oh, he lost it, folks. Oh, no. That's one. We're gonna get another one. We're gonna get another one.
Why'd you yell at me? Oh, yell at me.
He may have the greatest laugh in human history. Brett Phillips, the left fielder, leads it off against Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, the mouth flies open, the right eye goes shut.
He just
sounds like a donkey. Yeah.
He says that donkey sound he makes when he laughs is just him trying to breathe. But it is immensely entertaining. There's a whole bunch of YouTube videos, just Brett Phillips' teammates telling him bad jokes and trying to get him to laugh. 4 for 18 on the spring.
You know, not that Brett Phillips' laugh is a weakness, but if you have a weakness or something that your teammates can poke fun at, they'll find it and they will abuse you.
He is a highly sought after guest at any spring training TV show. Everybody wants to book Brett Phillips and try and make him laugh. 1-2 now. Taijuan Walker set down all 6 he's faced so far. He's already got 4 strikeouts. Phillips, as a baseball player, spent all of last season at AA Biloxi. That's in the Southern League. Showed some power, 16 home runs, but he hit just .229. Two and two. He's out of Seminole, Florida, drafted out of high school there by the Astros in the 2012 draft, a 6th round pick. Catcher Andrew Susak on deck. Yes, he went. Iannetta will complete the strikeout. And that's 5 for Taijuan Walker. He struck out 5 of the first 7 he's faced.
Well, Walker really on top of his game today. Gets Phillips to chase a pitch down below the strike zone that time. It almost looks like Walker only misses the strike zone when he wants to set up the next pitch.
He has just been silent and deadly out there. It's 1-2-3, 1-2-3. Here's Susak. 4 for 19 on the spring. The former Giants catcher now with Milwaukee. There's a strike. Now that Taijuan Walker has matured a little bit. He's still only 24. He'll turn 25 in August. He's got more polish to him. He's trying to pick up some pitches. That slider, that 2-seam fastball. So when he's up there against a right-hand batter, he often likes to try that slider away and then have the 2-seamer come in on the right-hand hitter with the next pitch. And he has been a handful. That's 6 strikeouts in 8 batters.
Has to be tempting for Torlavello just to take him out of the game right now and send him downtown to Chase Field. You don't want anything to happen to Taijuan Walker the way he's been throwing the ball this spring. Wrap him in bubble wrap and send him down to Chase Field.
2 strikeouts in each of the first 3 innings so far. And there's strike 1 at the second baseman, Yadiel Rivera. 4 for 16 on the spring. He does have a home run. Got to be great for Taijuan Walker just to feel right out there. He was hampered very early in the year with Seattle last season by a nagging foot problem in his right foot, the one that he pushes off the rubber with. He was out nearly all of July and most of August last year. Says at the end when they took out 10 bone spurs in his foot, he said, I didn't know there was enough room for 10 bone spurs in a foot. So last year, I can imagine how that hampered him last year. Big guy like this, especially a power pitcher. But he is healthy now and he looks good.
Well, one thing you mentioned about Walker is his delivery, a little more torque, a little more turn away from the batter, try to generate a little bit more power. But watch his follow through, very short, very abbreviated. The left foot comes down, the arm drives toward home plate, and not much of a follow through after that. Can't argue with the results, but just kind of odd to see that very abbreviated, chopped off follow through.
Called strike 3. 9 up, 9 down, 7 strikeouts for Taijuan Walker. Oh man, does he look good.
Across a run, Taijuan Walker just absolutely dominating the Brewers through the first 3. Hey fans, for the first time ever, the D-backs opening day will be held on a Sunday afternoon. Secure your tickets now for D-backs against the Giants home opener at Chase Field on April 2nd. Get the best seats for opening day at the lowest price with a mini plan purchase. Visit dbacks.com.
Taijuan Walker, 7 strikeouts through 3 innings, including the last 5 he's faced. He struck out 5 in a row. And A.J. Pollock leads off the home half of the 3rd against former D-back Chase Anderson. Keon Broxton out there in center. Quickly went away. That's 5 in a row set down by Chase Anderson.
A lot of early swinging against Chase Anderson. We mentioned his past history with this organization and some of the players on the team even today. And they know Chase Anderson likes to jump ahead in the count and then expand the strike zone. So a lot of the D-backs hitters attacking that first pitch close to the zone.
Lamaro Vargas struck out his first time up, reached safely on a wild pitch, and scored on Jason Pridey's RBI single. That was back in the first. Ildemaro Vargas moved up the Diamondbacks minor league system last year, played at Visalia, Mobile, and Reno, and combined in all those stops hit .305 and stole 21 bases. When he was playing with the Aces in AAA last year, hit .354 at Reno and was put on the 40-man roster in November. And Vargas has shown himself to be a very good contact man. Does not get himself out up there. In the minors last year, nearly 580 plate appearances, and he walked more than he struck out.
Yeah, over the course of his minor league career, the walks and strikeouts nearly even.
He's ahead 2 balls and a strike. He was very good defensively at Mobile last year, playing both second base and shortstop. This is bounced to the second baseman Rivera. 6 straight set down by Anderson. 2 outs in the third. Chris Herman singled his first time up.
Herman, another guy that jumped on the first pitch he saw from Chase Anderson, banged it into center field for a base hit.
Chris is the DH today. Key for Chris this year, just stay on the field. That was his big problem last season. Suffered 2 broken bones in his left hand sliding into second base against the Giants at Chase Field. That was in September. That's when his season ended. And he had just come back after missing almost 50 games with right hamstring trouble. He missed half of July and all of August with that hamstring problem. So we didn't see much of Chris Herman after the All-Star break last year. But boy, with his versatility defensively, he's a guy you want to keep healthy and on the roster.
Yeah, he's a perfect National League player where you have double switches and defensive changes late in the ball game, pinch hit opportunities, and a guy like Chris Herman that can play just about every position on the field and swing the bat from the left side. Very valuable to a National League team.
Yeah, we think of him first and foremost as a catcher, but he only made 29 starts behind the plate last year, playing first base and all 3 outfield spots. 2-2.
Well, the real eye-opener for me was at Coors Field last year when he started in right field one day, center field the next day, and looked good doing it.
Yep. Not a whole lot of guys can start games the same season at catcher and in center field, especially in Denver. But that's what Chris Herman can do for you. With all those injuries, no Peralta, no Pollock last year. You looked out at Coors Field in Denver, and we had a third baseman, a shortstop, and a catcher starting in the outfield. Full count, 3-2. Chase Anderson gets the strikeout. That's his first of the ball game. He's now set down 7 straight. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Taijuan Walker so far 3 perfect innings with 7 strikeouts. He has struck out the last 5 Brewers he's faced.
Well, you talk about highlights. Taijuan Walker's been a one-man highlight reel here in the early going today. All of his pitches working. His command has been tremendous. He struck out 7 of the first 9 batters he's faced in this game.
And you can see why he has been such a highly touted prospect in the Seattle system for several seasons now. But if he can just stay healthy and look as polished as he's looked here today and throughout the spring, the Diamondbacks will really have something here. Keon Broxton led off the game with a strikeout, and there's strike 1. Yeah, Mike Hazen, this was the first significant move that Mike Hazen's front office made, trading the player who really was the D-backs' best player last year, Gene Segura, from day 1 to the end, to get Taijuan Walker here. And Mike saw a chance to add some depth and talent to the rotation. And Taijuan Walker is that prototypical starting pitcher that you want to have in your rotation, still growing into his abilities as a starter. Significant rotation depth. And when you start looking at the group with Greinke and Shelby Miller, Taijuan Walker, and Robbie Ray, and Braden Shipley, and Archie Bradley, and Anthony Bonda, who's looked very good this spring as well, the young left-hander. This is a nice group of pitchers for Mike Butcher to work with. Two and 2 to Keon Broxton.
Well, if history has taught us anything about this game, it's that you can never have too much pitching. It was a couple years ago the Dodgers were bragging that they had 11 starting pitchers to choose from, and
they needed all of them.
By the time the season was over, they were out looking for pitching help.
Taijuan Walker, that's 8 strikeouts and 6 in a row.
And it's been a little bit of everything. We've seen some elevated fastballs. We've seen some changeups down in the zone. We've seen a good slider that he's thrown for strikes and thrown it off the outside corner to righties. Everything working well for Walker today.
Eric Sogard, one of only 2 Brewers who has not struck out today, and he grounded out his first time up. Farguson on the grass at third. Sogard shoots that one the other way. Hazelbaker is there. 11 straight set down by Taijuan Walker. I'll bring up the third baseman Travis Shaw, who struck out to win the first. When you can get a chance to get a Taijuan Walker, you do it. That's what Mike Hazen said. He is not one of those guys that teams are able to acquire all the time. And the front office felt like dealing Gene Segura to Seattle to get Taijuan here was simply an opportunity they needed to take. And you can see why today. In a sense, they sold high on Gene Segura after his brilliant season last year. So they get Walker here, and also, Bob, you create a spot at second base for Brandon Drury.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Plenty of depth at that second base position, so the Diamondbacks felt comfortable letting Gene Segura go in the trade. Well, got a piece that they definitely need. Somebody in that rotation to eat up innings. Give that bullpen a day off from time to time.
So Segura, Mitch Haniger, and Zach Curtis went to Seattle. Taijuan Walker and Ketel Marte arrived here in Arizona. And Marte has looked like a very intriguing player this spring as well. Two and 2 on Travis Shaw. Missed upstairs. The count is full. Jesus Aguilar, the first baseman, is on deck. He would be next.
Ketel Marte homered the other day against the Oakland A's. That crazy 21-13 ball game. He hit a home run in the first inning that spotted the Diamondbacks to a 5-0 lead.
Yeah, he belted that one halfway up the berm in right field. He's really starting to backspin the ball, says Torey Lovello. Ketel Marte. And in competition for the starting shortstop job with Nick Ahmed and Chris Owen. CO had a homer yesterday in Glendale. Off the White Sox, Lucas Giolito. First base runner today for Milwaukee. A 2-out walk to Shaw.
it's always interesting to watch what happens when a guy gets into the 4th inning before he has to pitch out of the stretch for the first time. He's obviously been very comfortable out of the windup. See how he does here with the runner at first base.
Mike Butcher to the mound. There is no one warming up at the Diamondback bullpen as of yet, and just now things will start to get busy down there. Looks like Brian Mattis, the left-hander, started warming up. So here's Aguilar with Shaw at first and 2 outs. 9 for 20 on the spring with 2 homers. Leba, the second baseman, shaded a little toward the bag at second. Friday holds Shaw on the bag at first. Walker can work up with a hard mid-90s fastball. He can break off a curveball. He threw a split finger fastball about 20% of the time last year.
Boy.
And this spring in camp he's worked on a slider and a changeup. But he's a guy that more often than not, because he's not had a slider before, works north and south, expanding the strike zone up and down as opposed to east and west.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that here already today. A lot of fastballs up there above the letters like that. Well, tough to catch up to. I mean, and you don't really even need overpowering velocity. Low to mid-90s. If you can keep that pitch up there above the top of the strike zone, it's so tempting for an opposing hitter, but so tough to catch up to.
Shaw takes off from first. That one is tapped to shortstop. Ahmed is there. Taijuan Walker strands that 2-out walk. 4 scoreless with 8 strikeouts. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. The talking stick. D-backs lead the Brewers 1-0. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way, and joining us now from the D-backs dugout, the big Texan and former Brewer, it's Anthony Banda. How you doing?
We're doing good, guys. How are you?
We're doing great watching you pitch. Boy, you work quickly. That's one thing we like about you. You get the ball and you are ready to go out there.
Yeah, simple's key. You know, keeping the defense on their toes and getting after it.
You know, I'm looking at the media guide here for the Diamondbacks, Anthony, and there's a picture of you shooting pool at the Phoenix Boys and Girls Club as part of the Diamondbacks Rookie Development Program. What exactly is that, the Rookie Development Program, and what kind of things are you asked to do?
We're just, you know, we're just there to learn about, like, you know, what it is to handle the media and stuff like that. What comes with, you know, being part of a big leaguer. You know, I'm all about the charity stuff, and I'm all about, like, giving back to the kids and the community. So, like, you know, doing that kind of stuff, it really brings a smile on my face. I love seeing other people smile, especially the kids. So, I mean, anything to help out with the kids or anything else like that, I love to do it.
Well, Anthony, it was a big step forward for you last year between AA Mobile and AAA Reno. 26 starts, a 2.88 ERA. You had more strikeouts than innings pitched. Tell us about your development last year and how it went for you.
It was, you know, it was a big boost. You know, just being able to command all pitches, going out there and competing every single day. You know, and I think it starts within the week, the preparation. You know, getting ready to start. Oh, there you go.
Osvaldo Arcia takes it out of here. His second home run this spring. Anthony Bonda, good luck here. 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Yeah, but yeah, last year was a big step. Just being able to control, you know, my game and being able to be comfortable with what I throw and keeping the hitters off balance. And like you said before, the quick pace, the tempo, it's always key for me. Just continuously going after the hitters and getting my guys off the field and letting them do their job at the plate. You know, and you know, I just, like I said, I just love going after the hitters.
No, Anthony, we know you're in here just to compete and do the best job you possibly can. But have you been told anything by Mike Butcher or Torey Lovello as far as what they want to see you do and what you need to do to make this team?
As far as I know, you know, I'm just, you know, they just continue telling me to compete, keep getting my innings in and stay healthy along the way. And you know, that was my plan coming into camp. You know, getting along with the guys, getting everything acclimated with you know, just in and out of how to go about it, and you know, just keeping my head down, competing and getting ready for every start that I got. But I mean, those are the goals, you know, and ultimately staying healthy throughout camp.
Well, you sure have looked healthy, certainly all last year, Anthony. Looking at some of the numbers, you know, a few years ago, your fastball was 92, 93, but last year it was more like 95, 96. The velocity has come along for you. Any reason why?
It just, you know, some say I tapped into my man strength. No, it's definitely the preparation in the offseason and throughout the week, like I said, you know, it's just staying on top of the routine, you know, and continuously working, you know, and refining my mechanics and keeping my body where I needed it to go towards the plate. But overall, I think it's just the preparation of the overall, you know, look of, you know, just being strong and being ready to go.
And it seems like that's helped your confidence. The numbers have certainly been good. And Mike Bell was talking about that with us a little bit regarding you. You know, maybe a few years ago, perhaps you didn't believe in yourself as much as you seem to now. Is that the case?
You know, it's always good when you have success. It's easy to have, you know, build confidence. But I really just focus on, you know, start to start and just trying to win a ball game for the club, and you know, just going out there and competing every single day. But the confidence is really what boosts any player. But overall, you know, I've been fortunate enough with this great organization to have such great guys around me. You know, they just continually just keep me up and pick me up, you know, when I'm feeling down, or, you know, vice versa. But I mean, I think it's just a great atmosphere of you know, being where you're at, and then obviously you feed off of that with the confidence and success.
Also last season you participated in the Futures game down at Petco Park as part of the Major League Baseball All-Star festivities. How was that experience? Oh,
it was a great time. You know, it was, you know, no matter the outcome, I had a great time. You know, the guys there were just phenomenal. The staff, everybody was there. You know, it was a great experience, and you know, something I'll never forget.
Well, Anthony, we're looking forward to the D-backs 2017 season, and it sure seems like you're going to be a part of it. And thanks for joining us here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
D-backs lefty Anthony Bonda from the dugout. Boy, has he looked good this
Yes, he has.
3-2 now to Jeremy Hazelbaker against Chase Anderson. And Hazelbaker knocks it up the middle. We saw Osvaldo Arcia lead off this inning off Brent Sutter, pardon me, the new pitcher, with his second home run this spring. There's Sutter, the left-hander. So now 2-0 D-backs. Hazelbaker at first, one out. And here's Chris Iannetta. The numbers on Brent Sutter last year. Bonda may work more quickly than Wade Miley did. Like, he's really that fast. He's Mark Burley close in terms of get it and throw it. And when he does get into a rhythm, he is really, really good.
I think that's an intelligent approach for a young pitcher. So many guys want to play with the rosin bag and dig at the dirt in front of the rubber and mess around and mess around. Make sure everybody in the ballpark's looking at them before they throw a pitch. And Anthony Bonda realizes that if your defense is on your toes, ready to make plays behind you, you've got a much better chance of working your way through an opposing lineup.
And as we mentioned, Bonda was originally a Milwaukee Brewer. 10th round draft pick by Milwaukee. Diamondbacks got him in 2014, part of the deal that sent Gerardo Parra to the Brewers. And nobody liked to see Gerardo Parra go, but Anthony Bonda will pitch in the big leagues this year. He looks like quite a prospect. He is right on the cusp of big league ready. 1-2 now on Iannetta. Chris flied out his first time up. First inning of work for the left-hander Brent Sutter. In relief of Chase Anderson, who went 3 innings. And Chase, after giving up a run in the first, retired the final 7 he faced in his 4th appearance of the spring. Well, it's already a 20-pitch inning for Sutter. 2-2 now on Iannetta with Nick Ahmed on deck. Hazelbaker runs the bases very well. That's one thing that has stood out with Jeremy this spring. He's a very good base runner. That's out of play. And we mentioned that with the injury to Socrates Brito, that finger injury that'll keep him out at least 2 months now. The Diamondbacks need preferably a left-hand hitting outfielder, someone who can play center and spell A.J. Pollock from time to time. So Brito's out, at least for now. That would leave Hazelbaker and Blanco. Iannetta rips one into left center. Hazelbaker's on the run. Tony Perez-Chica going to wave him home. Iannetta in at second. Here's the throw, and it's not in time. Iannetta sneaks into third, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks.
Aggressive send by Tony Perez-Chica down there at third base. This ball hit off the end of the bat a little bit. Looked like it was going to split the gap. However, Phillips able to get there. Perfect relay. Fortunately for the Diamondbacks, the throw is on the first base side of home plate, allowing Hazelbaker to slide in with the third run of the game for the Diamondbacks.
Fourth hit this spring for Chris Iannetta. All of them doubles. And here's Nick Ahmed. Nick rounded out his first time up 0 for 1. Now 5 hits for the D-backs, none yet for Milwaukee.
I mentioned an aggressive send by Tony Perez-Chica, the third base coach. A good aggressive running by Hazelbaker, and also by Iannetta, the trail runner. Ends up at third base when that throw pulled the catcher off the plate.
I think Chris is going to be a nice addition.
I think so.
That one almost went to the backstop. Andrew Susac able to corral that one. And Nick is ahead 2-1. Figure Jeff Mathis catches around 60 games. That leaves the rest for Chris Herman and Chris Iannetta. Bullpen is busy for Milwaukee. Michael Blazek, the right-hander. Ahmed fouled that one off, and it's 2-2. Suter creeping up on a 30-pitch fourth. Still only 1 out. Looks like Brian Mattis is set to go in the Diamondback bullpen. He'll get the 5th. In the dirt, full count, 3-2. There's Brian Mattis, former Baltimore Oriole, competing for a bullpen job here. Nick trying to get Chris Iannetta home from third. 3-2 pitch. That is smacked fair down the left field line. Nick heads for second. Iannetta scores. Nick Ahmed still going. He's on his way to third. Phillips is waving. And Nick's going to have to go back to second base, but it's 4-0 Diamondbacks. RBI double.
I think that ball rolled right out the gate out there in the left field bullpen. Phillips was running over there to make a play. Nick Ahmed picks on that high breaking ball and tomahawks it down into the corner. That's the right thing to do. Keep running until they make you stop. Right underneath the door out there.
Well, 3 in the 4th inning here against lefty Brent Sutter. And the batter is Domingo Leyva, still just 1 out. Leyva flied out his first time up. That's 3 consecutive hits for the Diamondbacks, 4 in this inning. A home run by Arcia to lead off the inning. Single by Hazelbaker, doubles by Iannetta and Ahmed. And Leyva's down 0-2. That's the 3rd double this spring for Nick. Leyva 4 for 16 this spring. He's got 2 RBIs. Very high chopper. Aguiar at first. Sutter hustles over there and just does get Leyva. That's another example of a dangerous headfirst slide.
Boy, especially that particular play, because the pitcher is kind of running blind over there to first base. You see Sutter got a late break off the mound. He's just looking for the bag. Leyva goes in belly first with that hand extended out there. That's when you see a lot of pitchers either come down on the hand of the runner or they jam their hand into the bag really hard like Leyva did right there.
Got to get away from that. A.J. Pollock 0 for 2. Ahmed now at third with 2 outs. A home run by Arcia. RBI doubles by Iannetta and Ahmed. A 3-run D-backs 4th. They lead it 4-0. Second base for Rivera. Osvaldo Arcia got it started. His 2nd of the spring. 2 more runs would follow. We are through 4 in Scottsdale. Diamondbacks lead the Brewers 4-0. D-backs lead the Brewers 4-0 as we start the 5th inning. New pitcher for Arizona, the left-hander Brian Mattis out of St. Mary's High School. Trying to win a bullpen job here. He'll work to Kirk Neuenhuis, Michael Reed, and Brett Phillips due up for the Brewers, 5, 6, and 7. Did I cut you off? Were you ready to do a promo?
Oh, no. I was just
felt like I did.
Goofing around with the guys in the truck. Got caught by surprise there.
Oh, Neuenhuis is at it again. Kirk Neuenhuis, there it goes. Once had a 3-home run game for the Mets against the Diamondbacks a couple of years ago, and he takes Mattis out of here for the Brewers' first hit today. It's 4-1. That will always be known as the Kirk Neuenhuis game, at least around here.
Absolutely. Waste no time here. Brian Mattis' first delivery to a left-handed hitter. Fastball inside part of the plate and up a little bit. That's the one hitting coaches call a fence-high fastball. All you have to do is make good contact, and you got a chance to do some damage. And Neuenhuis puts that one about halfway up the bank in right field.
That was July 12th, 2015 at Citi Field. Neuenhuis, who hit 4 home runs for the Mets all season that year, had 3 of them in one game against the Diamondbacks.
Go figure.
2 off Ruby De La Rosa, 1 off Randall Delgado. Here's Michael Reed. So Neuenhuis makes it 4-1, Milwaukee's first hit. Vargas at third in front of Ahmed. Ildemaro Vargas tried, he can't make the backhand stab. That was right to Nick Ahmed. Now, don't you always say that they tell the third baseman if you can get to it, take it?
Yeah, third basemen are taught to take anything they can get to their left, and this time probably would have been better served to let Nick take that ball. He was in a good position, squared up right in front of it, but Vargas doing what he's supposed to do, take everything you can get to your left.
Nothing on the board yet. I assume it's a base hit. Brett Phillips struck out to end the second against Taijuan Walker. Walker was absolutely dominant here today. 4 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts, including at one point 6 in a row. Shift is on for the Diamondbacks against the left-hand hitting Phillips. Phillips does have some power. 16 home runs in Double-A last year at Biloxi. Tries to bunt.
Trying to beat that shift that we showed you when this at bat started. Nick Ahmed, the only defender on the left side of the field, and Phillips just tries to deaden that ball over on the third base side and steal himself a base hit.
Reed down there at first runs well. He played all of last season at AAA Colorado Springs, stole 20 bases.
See, this is an example where a shift has served the purpose. 2 bunt attempts by a guy that doesn't generally bunt for base hits, and both of them fouled off. Now he finds himself in an 0-2 hole, so the shift has worked regardless of what happens the rest of this at bat. Take a guy right out of his game.
Yeah, this is a guy, as we mentioned, who can hit the occasional home run for you, and he's not going to home run while he's trying to bunt. Strike 3. Mattis rings up Phillips. 1 down in the 5th.
Well, that's an at-bat Brett Phillips will think about for a while. I think the idea was good, trying to bunt the first pitch to the third base side of the field, but as I said, that's not his game, and by trying it a second time, he really put himself in a hole.
Andrew Susac, the catcher, struck out against Taijuan Walker his first time up. Diamondback now with 3 infielders on the third base side. Leyba, the second baseman, on the shortstop side of second. All kinds of room on the right-hand side of the infield. Susac only 17 big league at bats with Milwaukee last year. This is a guy whose career has been wrecked by injuries. Concussion problems, thumb injuries, wrist surgery. former second-round pick by the Giants. San Francisco finally gave up and traded him to Milwaukee last August. Part of the deal that sent reliever Will Smith to the Giants. And Mattis has his second strikeout. Susak 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts today. That'll bring up Yadiel Rivera, the second baseman.
Elevated fastball, four-seamer up there above the belt. After that leadoff home run by Neuenhuis, and then the base hit by Michael Reed, Mattis has settled in quite nicely the last two hitters here.
Yadiel Rivera struck out looking to win the third. One of 8 strikeouts today for Taijuan Walker. First pitch is rolled over the mound. Leiba's there, flipped to Ahmed, and they get the force on Reed. But the Brewers get on the board. Diamondbacks lead it 4-1.
Spring training baseball is brought
friendly along the way. Diamondbacks leading the Brewers 4-1. And the new pitcher for Milwaukee, the right-hander Michael Blazek. 41 appearances last year, 3-1, a 5.66 ERA. 41 innings pitched, 52 hits allowed. And he will be the third Milwaukee pitcher of the afternoon. Ildemaro Vargas, Chris Herman, Osvaldo Arcia due up in the Diamondback 5th inning. Well, if you're just joining us, you missed a show from Taijuan Walker. He was dynamic, to say the least. Brewers through 4 innings against Walker had only 1 base runner. That was a 2-out walk to Travis Shaw in the 4th inning. Well, Walker today retired the first 11 batters he faced, 8 of them by strikeout. At one point he struck out 6 in a row.
But it's one thing to go out there and have an overpowering fastball on a given day, or a really good feel for your changeup, and just go to that pitch to get the outs that you need. But Walker had everything working today. Really outstanding start for Taijuan Walker today.
And we saw 1 inning from Brian Mattis. Jorge De La Rosa, as you just saw a moment ago, warming up in the D-backs bullpen, so he'll get the 6th. Ildemaro Vargas leads off the bottom of the 5th. Brewers playing a split squad game today. The other half of the Milwaukee club is at Maryvale hosting the White Sox. Brewers 8-5 this spring. They've won 6 in a row in Cactus League play. Vargas hits a hopper to second for Yadiel Rivera, 1 away. Brewers are really doing a nice job building up their farm system under their relatively new GM, David Stearns. They brought in a lot of prospects. Last year, 4th place in the NL Central. They finished 30 games behind the Cubs. And they've traded off some pieces, gotten some good minor league players from other clubs. And they are looking toward the future. Chris Herman, a single and a strikeout, 1 for 2. Chris 3 for 19 on the spring so far. Mentioned this the other day. He was a very slow starter last year. Herman had a quiet spring. He hit under $140 in April. And then, boy, did that bat come alive. He hit nearly .380 in May. 3 triples and 3 homers.
That slow starter thing is not always good when you're a backup player.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an everyday guy and you've got your numbers on the back of the bubblegum card and the organization's pretty sure what they're going to get once the regular season starts, well, you're not so concerned about those guys being slow starters in spring training. But if you're trying to make an impression and earn your way onto a ball club, slow starts in spring are the worst thing that can happen.
And especially Chris Herman, his first year with a new team. Diamondbacks' previous front office traded a good power hitting prospect to get him in Daniel Palka, who went to Minnesota and hit a lot of home runs in the Twins minor league system last year. But Herman, once he got going, boy, from the beginning of May through the All-Star break, he had a stretch of 40 games. He hit .328, slugged over .520. Everything it seemed was either a double, a triple, or a homer.
And it was rarely 2 days in a row. He'd get a start and then maybe sit a day or two. Wellington Castillo getting the nod behind the plate, and then Chris would get back in there again. But as the bat heated up, the playing time increased as well.
And then he had that hamstring problem, missed about 2 months. Came back, got hurt again, wound up with fewer than 150 at bats last year. Played in just 56 games. Two and two. Got him. 2 down in the 5th, and now the batter is Osvaldo Arcia, who led off the 4th against Brewers lefty Brent Sutter with his second home run this spring. And that's what he can bring to the table. He's got some real power from the left-hand side.
I wasn't quite sure that Arcia knew he got all of that ball. The way he flipped his bat up the first baseline, I thought he was a little frustrated that he just missed it. That's how strong this guy is. He can miss-hit a ball and still get it out of the ballpark.
You mentioned that Herman was your ideal National League type of player. Osvaldo Arcia seems to be an American League type of player. And that may work against him when it starts getting down to roster picking time. He can hit from the left-hand side, but he strikes out a fair amount, and he's not a great defensive player in the outfield. Brewers have the shift on. Second baseman Rivera almost halfway out to right field. Osvaldo Arcia played for 4 different teams last year, and he finished the season with 202 at-bats. And in those 202 at-bats, he struck out 80 times. Ouch. So he will swing and miss. Like that. I mean, that's literally, he's striking out half the time he's up there almost. At least last year. But he has been a 20 home run guy in the majors.
He was picking the spot on the grass out there where he wanted that home run ball to land. He was still looking out to right field as he finished his swing. Got to see the ball.
When he was coming up in Minnesota's system, there were people that said, you know, he reminds you of almost a left-hand Manny Ramirez. Not that he was going to put up Manny-type numbers, but the same kind of hitter, only from the left-hand side.
Very similar defensively as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Good call. Both have had their moments out there. Arcia, 25 years old. He'll be 26 in May. Pulls the ball most often. Will occasionally go the other way. His career numbers mostly with the Minnesota Twins. Last year he played for the Twins, the Rays, the Marlins, and the Padres all in one season. Blazek comes in, works a 1-2-3-5 with 2 strikeouts. Diamondbacks lead at 4-1. As we start the 6th inning here in Scottsdale, and the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the veteran lefty Jorge De La Rosa, signed to a minor league deal just after spring training opened last month. And the Diamondbacks certainly familiar with De La Rosa after 9 seasons for the Rockies.
We talk about ease of spring training. Jorge De La Rosa with the Rockies last year in the clubhouse in right field. Now he just moves over to the clubhouse in left field. Pitched many games in this ballpark.
That's it for A.J. Pollock. Christopher Negron takes over in center field, the only defensive change for the Diamondbacks so far. Keon Broxton 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, both against Taijuan Walker. Leads off the 6th for Milwaukee. Torey Lovullo is adamant when asked about this earlier in camp. Jorge De La Rosa is not here to compete for a rotation spot. He is going to work strictly out of the bullpen, which is something relatively new for De La Rosa. He is the Rockies' all-time leader in wins and strikeouts. That one got away a bit, 1-1. So we've seen Brian Mattis, another converted left-hand starter, turn reliever. Although Mattis has been in the bullpen for the last 4 seasons, this is, well, will be De La Rosa's first if he makes the club at the age of 35. He'll be 36, in fact, next month, just after opening day.
And there's a spot for a guy in any team's bullpen that can give you multiple innings out of the pen. And certainly De La Rosa, given his history as a starting pitcher, should be a guy that Torey Lovullo, if needed, could call down to that bullpen and come in and give you 2, 3, 4 innings in relief of a starter that's been knocked out early. You got to have one of those long guys or a couple long guys down there in the bullpen just in case.
Yeah, this could be a good fit for De La Rosa. He's lived in the Valley for a long time now. 2-2 on Keon Broxton. And the Diamondbacks made it worth his while. A $2.25 million salary if he makes the ball club. And there are some other incentives built in. 27 appearances last year with Colorado. 24 of them starts. A leadoff walk. Eric Sogard, the shortstop, 0 for 2. De La Rosa, it's funny, he's never thrown a big league pitch during the regular season, obviously, for the Diamondbacks, but this is actually the 3rd time he's been with the D-backs. Sogard wants it right back to the mound. De La Rosa gets the lead man Broxton, and that's it. Hey fans, MLB.TV Premium is back, and it's better than ever. You can watch out-of-market regular season games, spring training games, and the World Baseball Classic all live on over 400 supported devices. Visit dbacks.com/TV. Travis Shaw, the 3rd baseman now. Mentioned Jorge De La Rosa. He originally signed with Arizona out of Monterrey, Mexico. That was back in 1998. His contract was eventually purchased by the Red Sox. Boston later sent De La Rosa back to the Diamondbacks. That was part of the Curt Schilling deal. But just days later, he was quickly traded to Milwaukee in the Nucci Varner deal.
Yeah, the big deal.
I believe Richie Sexson also a minor player in that trade, but that was the Nucci Varner trade as it's come to be known. And now De La Rosa back as a D-back for the 3rd time. Shift is on. What do you remember about Nucci Varner? Anything?
No.
Yeah.
Cool name. That was a trade that I've talked about it before in the past. In hindsight, I should have fought harder against that trade. Not that I didn't like Richie Sexson or Nucci Varner, but boy, we gave up a lot of talented players, and one of our strengths with the Diamondbacks in the early 2000s was a strong bench. Guys that we could run in there and keep the starter out of the lineup for a day or two, give them a little bit of a rest, and get the bench guys in there. And we didn't lose much production-wise, but the trade with Milwaukee that I think we sent 6 or 8 players really stripped us of the depth that we were able to use in 2000, 2001, 2002. And Richie Sexson was only able to play 23 games, I believe, for us before he went on the disabled list for the rest of the season.
Yeah, 2004. Still homered 9 times in 23 games. So it's boy, Richie Sexson, the previous 3 seasons, 45 homers, 29, 45.
Yeah, he was a beast, and he was a great teammate. The guys loved him here in Arizona. Just unfortunately, that injury knocked him out of action for the rest of the year.
Jesus Aguilar 0 for 2. Yeah, Sexson eventually ended up in Seattle at 39 homers, 34 homers, 21 homers for the Mariners. Part of a 12-year big league career. Just by the glove of De La Rosa. Leba's right there, though. And that's the end of the inning. Bottom 6 coming up. Diamondbacks 4, Brewers 1. Lead the Brewers 4-1. Hey fans, the Diamondbacks are offering you an exclusive opportunity to hold the flag on opening day. To enter, visit dbacks.com/holdtheflag. Now, you have to be 18 years old to enter, at least 18. Each winner will get a spot on the field to hold the flag, plus 2 tickets to opening day. And for another way to enter, be sure to watch Tuesday's game, D-backs and Rangers, right here on Fox Sports Arizona. Find out how you and a friend could win the chance to hold the flag on opening day at Chase Field. That sounds like a cool deal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You're at opening day, you get the tickets, you hold some flags down there, be part of the ceremonies. Michael Blazek still the pitcher for the Brewers. Jason Priddy leads off the Diamondbacks 6th. Priddy had an RBI single in the first. He's 1 for 2. It's the first big unit visit of the year. I think he just wants to borrow your binoculars.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, he's bailing. You're bailing? Come on, put on a headset. Come on, just stay for a half inning. Randy Johnson is here. Who knew?
Yeah, stay with us a minute here. We'll get him wired up.
Dennis Lamb will get him fixed up. This is what Randy does. He just comes by and hangs out. How you doing? Oh, you're not on yet.
Oh, testing.
There you
go. Okay.
I heard you did a whole game with Mike Farron the other day, too.
I did.
How was that?
It was a 21-13 game. We were on the wrong side of that, and it lasted about 5 hours.
Well,
try sugarcoating that game.
Well, hey.
That's what we do for a living.
Well, that's what
do you think we've been doing up here?
I know.
Well, it's fortunate that Mike had you there, the moral compass, Mike Farron.
I actually enjoyed that. It's a, you know, when you're doing it for the whole game, opposed to just kind of doing a little appearance for 1 or 2 innings.
Like today.
Exactly. Exactly. I never saw this coming. I probably should have just kept
Yeah, see?
I probably should have stayed my own business and walked down the hallway.
Screwed up again.
Yeah, but no, I was here in the morning. I will watch the minor league kids throw and work out. Talked to Shelby Miller this afternoon before the game. Yesterday they were on the road, so I didn't come. The day before, I came to the game to watch Greinke pitch against the Mexico WBC team, and then the day before was when I made my radio debut. So it's.
Are you going to be back on the radio side?
I will. So for all of you watchers that can't be watching the game and can only listen, I will be back on the airways on the 14th.
Nice.
Yes. And I will be at the game tomorrow to watch my fellow left-handed pitcher, Robbie Ray.
Your protege. You've really taken him under your wing in a sense, haven't you?
Well, he's the one kid that I know the best on this team, that I've known the longest. I met him 3 years ago when he was in Reno, and since then I've just taken a real liking to him, and you know, just try to help him in any way I can. And they all just kind of go about their business. I don't get in their way, but sometimes if I see something, I just, much like the minor league kids today, you know, and days past, last year, I'm just down there. Hey, keep your shoulder closed. You're flying open. Nothing drastic or anything like that. I'm not here to step on anybody's toes. Just kind of help if I can.
Well, Robbie Ray will pitch against the Giants here tomorrow afternoon. We'll have that game for you on the TV side. 1-1 to Jeremy Hazelbaker, joined in the booth by the big unit, Randy Johnson. This has popped up third base side. Might stay playable. In fact, it will. And there's Sogard. What did you see today from Taijuan Walker? Up here, boy, it sure looked good.
It looked fantastic. I was sitting two suites down with the owner, Ken Kendrick, and we were both commenting on this is the first time I've seen him pitch. I haven't even seen him throw a bullpen. And Mr. Kendrick said this is what he's been doing to this point. And I just thought it was he just was amazing. It just looks like he's in mid-game form. No hits in 4 innings, and pitch efficient, went deep in the game, did what you're supposed to do with 50 pitches given to you today.
Well, that formula of taking a former Mariner and having him pitch for the Diamondbacks.
Not a bad, not a bad recipe. Not a bad recipe.
Yeah, he's looked like that all spring.
That was fun to watch. I really had my eyes out there watching him, and he just seemed like, you know, I've seen Felix Hernandez pitch, and he reminded me of a much bigger body frame of a Felix Hernandez. And what I mean by that is just he had a slow little pickup with his legs, small little leg turn, but it resembled Felix Hernandez in Seattle as well. But he had really good stuff, and excited to see him pitch again. I've seen all the pitchers now: Shelby, Archie, Robbie Ray, Patrick Corbin, and now I've seen Taijuan pitch as well. So I've seen all the pitchers, and of all of them, today was a great day to see Walker pitch.
Iannetta hard to third. It goes right through Travis Shaw. Chris Iannetta had an RBI double his last time up. Now he's on board with 2 outs. What stood out to you other than obviously Walker today, among the guys that you've seen?
Well, I mean, obviously I come here to watch the starting pitchers, and you know, every starting pitcher, much like when I was up here with Mike Fair on radio, you know, we all have, since the history of the game has started, we all have bad springs, bad games, bad innings, bad outings, bad years. You know, I'm excited to see the other pitchers do what they're capable of doing. I came a couple days ago and watched Shelby pitch, and prior to that, he'd been pitching fantastic. He pitched another home game a few days before the one I watched against the Cubs and struck out 6. I suspect that he will get back into that. It was just a bad game, and Archie Bradley, you know, I think is still working on some things. I had actually talked to him the day he pitched about putting hitters away. He's getting ahead 0-2, 1-2, and me and Mike were even talking about that. And there's a situation where the count's 0-2, 1-2, just not the inability of that particular day of putting hitters away. So that's what I'm really excited about watching is these pitchers pitch.
Nick Ahmed hits it over the head of Keon Broxton. Instead of being waved home, he will come in all the way from first. Ahmed is in there at third, and the ball goes into the seats, and he will come in and score. Your good luck.
Well, try telling Mike that. Try telling Farron that. You know, 2 days ago, the score was 21-13. I don't even know if I'm going to be allowed to go back in the radio booth.
It's the second time today, Bob, that Ahmed has hit the ball hard.
Boy, smoked it to straightaway center field over the head of Broxton out there. Yeah, good relay. It looked like Nick was dead to rights there at third base. Kind of tried to hold up in the middle of a head first slide. Fortunately, no damage done. He was in safely, and when the throw got away and went up into the stands, he has himself a Little League home run.
Should be a triple and an error, the second error on Milwaukee in the inning. And it's 6-1 Diamondbacks. Here's to Bingo Leyba. Did you have good springs and bad springs?
No, yeah, absolutely. Everybody does. You know, and I can remember springs down in Tucson where it may be a situation where I haven't even found my slider, and I'm one start away from opening day, and I haven't even really been throwing my slider that much. And so I'm adamant about my last spring training, start just throwing sliders the whole game just to kind of get a feel for it, simply because I've been working on, you know, a changeup and fastball location and arm strength and holding base runners on and backing up bases and stuff like that. You know,
And hitting
and bunting and hitting and getting my secondary lead at first base. And I do miss spring training. But I think the biggest thing the fans should realize is the hitters and the pitchers are working on things, you know, reading pitchers, getting their arm strength up. I'm extremely excited about this year if everybody stays healthy.
Do you want to stay or go? You don't have to.
There will be lots of games that I'll be able to come up here.
The great Randy Johnson. Randy, thanks so much. Start the seventh inning. They lead the Brewers 6-1. And we'll get those to you in just a moment. Kirk Neuenhuis, the DH, will lead off the Milwaukee seventh. Diamondbacks have out hit the Brewers 7-2. They lead at 6-1. Well, Lugo has checked into the game. He'll take over at third base. And we're joined in the dugout by Jeremy Hazelbaker. Jeremy, it's Steve Berthium and Bob Brenly. How you doing?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing very good, thanks.
Good.
It's great to have you in camp this year. How's it been going?
Oh, it's been going great. Loving it. Great group of guys, great staff. Couldn't ask for a better place to be.
Tell us about your journey, Jeremy, because you've had quite a story, and I know you're Red Sox and then the Dodgers, and then you were at the at the roller rink for a while in Indiana, and they ended up with the Cardinals. I mean, it's been quite a journey for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs. That kind of sums it up for me, baseball-wise. But, you know, I'm in a good spot now, so I'm happy to be here. But, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that didn't go as planned, didn't go my way. But, you know, that's part of baseball and part of being in this job.
How much of an adjustment was it for you, Jeremy, to come into a spring training with a new ball club? Obviously, every organization has ways they like to do things, and a lot of things are very similar. But were there a lot of differences coming to spring training this year with the Diamondbacks?
Not really. They, you know, the great thing about baseball and being with this group of guys here, especially, you know, under this management staff, is everybody gets it. Everybody knows there's going to be new faces rolling in at all times. So, you know, they really welcome you with open arms, and you kind of just hit the ground rolling.
Jorge De La Rosa walked to Kirk Neuenhuis as we lead off the 7th. We're joined by Jeremy Hazelbaker. So, Jeremy, the injury to Socrates Brito sort of narrows the field a bit where you're concerned. What are you looking at with the Diamondbacks in terms of a role?
Whatever they need. You know, it's my job to be out there to fill whatever position they need. You know, great thing about me is I can play all 3 positions and, you know, come in for a pinch hit or defensive switch. You know, whatever kind of thing they need. I feel like, you know, I'm a good guy that can give that to them.
Michael Reed gives this one a ride, and it's off the wall. This is going to get Neuenhuis into 3rd, and Reed has a double. Have you had a chance to sit down with Torey Lovullo at all and get a feel for this staff? Because it's new, obviously, not just for you, but everybody here.
Yeah, a little bit. Talked to him a little bit. The good thing about these guys is that I was with him a little bit with the Red Sox. So, of course, I knew Hayes and Torey and a couple other guys. And, you know, it's not an uncommon face, you know, for me to see him and, you know, talk to Hayes and things like that. You know, they know me and my makeup and kind of, you know, what I'm capable of. So it's good to be in front of a set of eyes that have already seen me a little bit.
Jeremy, how did you do as a member of the Ball State Cardinals against Ohio University in Mid-America Conference play?
Careful, this is a very important question, Jeremy.
How did I do personally? I did well.
Oh, well.
Everybody does against Ohio.
Please, come on now.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun time. But you know, we had a good team out there, so it was a lot of fun.
Well, Jeremy, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us today. We appreciate it. It's great to have you here in camp with the D-backs.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Jeremy Hazelbaker from the dugout. Phillips drops that one into shallow left center. Neuenhuis is going to score. Reed right behind him. And Milwaukee comes back to make it a 6-3 ball game. A rough 7 so far for Jorge De La Rosa. Well, that'll make Brett Phillips laugh. A 2-run single.
It should.
There's Andrew Susak, the catcher.
What's that?
Good double play candidate right here. Susak does not run well at all out of that right-handed batter's box. Hard ground ball right at one of the defenders.
Do have some different defenders out there. Dalwell Lugo was taken over at 3rd base for Ildemaro Vargas. Vargas moves to shortstop, replacing Nick Ahmed. Jeremy Hazelbaker out of the game, obviously. Christopher Negron is taken over in left field. He was in center, and Evan Marzilli has moved down to center. So Negron, Marzilli, and Arcia left to right in the outfield. Lugo, Vargas, Leyva, and Pridey the infield. (2-0) on Andrew Susak. 2 runs in for Milwaukee. J.J. Hoover warming up with the Diamondback bullpen, the right-hander. De La Rosa out there for his 2nd inning of work. There's J.J., the former Cincinnati Red. Had some very good years in the Reds bullpen. De La Rosa behind Susak, 3-0. He missed inside with that one. 2nd walk at the inning and the 3rd of the ball game for De La Rosa. And that'll bring up the 2nd baseman, Yadiel Rivera. And Torey Lovullo slowly making a walk out to the mound. And he wants a new pitcher. We'll say goodbye to Jorge De La Rosa. J.J. Hoover on his way in. We'll take a break. Back from Scottsdale after this. Scottsdale with the D-backs lead the Brewers 6-3. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool plays of the game. Couple of RBI extra base hits for Nick Ahmed.
Yeah, especially that first one down into the left field corner. Nick really keeping his bat in the hitting zone a long time this year. Flattened out that swing a little bit. Driving the ball with authority over the head of Keon Broxton out there in center field. Good offensive day for Nick today.
He's had a good spring at the plate. He's got 3 doubles and a triple now. He's knocked in 2 runs today, and he is the author of our Chaz Roberts cool plays of the game. J.J. Hoover, the new pitcher, the right-hander. On in relief of Jorge De La Rosa. His numbers last year with the Reds, only 18 big league games. Spent most of the year at AAA Louisville. He's got Brett Phillips at second base, Andrew Susac at first. 2 outs and 2 runs in for Milwaukee. And the batter is the second baseman, Yadiel Rivera.
Attaboy, have it ready. Here we go.
Rivera has struck out looking and hit into a fielder's choice. He's 0 for 2. Phillips, the runner at second, and Susac at first. J.J. Hoover, the right-hander, 5 big league seasons, all with Cincinnati. Really had a setback last year. The velocity dipped suddenly. He gave up runs in 10 of his 18 appearances with the Reds and was pulled from a 40-man roster last August. Signed with the D-backs in January. 1-2 on Rivera.
Good slider off the outside corner by Hoover. He has a very abbreviated setup in that stretch position. Almost jumps at the hitter.
He had some very successful seasons as a setup man in the Reds bullpen. He opened last year as their closer, replacing Aroldis Chapman. But he struggled immediately. Lost that job 3 weeks into the season. And is trying to get his career back on track here with the Diamondbacks. Ahead of Rivera 1-2, and he strikes him out.
Elevated fastball. That's been a good weapon against this Brewers lineup today, no matter who's been on the mound. They've chased a lot of high fastballs.
Neuenhuis walked to lead off the inning against De La Rosa. Reed doubled. Phillips a 2-run single. Susac walked. So Rivera the first out in the 7th. And here's Keon Broxton. He has walked and struck out twice. J.J. Hoover spent the winter searching and searching for some mechanical fix, trying to figure out what went so wrong so suddenly last year with the Reds. And the issue turned out to be medical. The velocity was down. He said a little tweak in his offseason program prior to last year left all of the muscles in his shoulder a little underdeveloped, so that velocity dipped big time. This is rolled off the side of the mound. Vargas is there. Leyba turns two. Domingo Vargas, or Ildemaro Vargas and Domingo Leyba. Hoover comes in, gets a quick 3 outs. We stretch in Scottsdale at 6-3 Diamondbacks. The talking stick, nearly 12,000 with us on a beautiful day. New shortstop for the Brewers, replacing Eric Sogar. That's Mauricio Dubon, number 92. They also have a new catcher back there, and Dustin Uhl. And the new pitcher is the right-hander Rob Scahill. Looks like we got 91 in center. We've reached that point where things go haywire. Victor Roach is in right field, replacing Reed. Segovia in center, replacing Keon Broxton. And Dustin Uhl replaces Andrew Susac behind the plates. Gabriel Noriega takes over at third for Travis Shaw. Christopher Negron leads off the 7th. He took over in center field for A.J. Pollock. A.J. 0 for 3 today. Cahill ahead 0-2. That's out of play. It'll stay 1-2 on Christopher Negron. Back on TV with you tomorrow afternoon. Should be a big day here at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. Don't forget the Hall of Fame exhibit opens up right here on our ground starting tomorrow. Robbie Ray takes on the Giants. A 1 o'clock first pitch, 1:10 first pitch. LeBron strikes out. What a win. So Bob and I will be on the TV side for you tomorrow, and then Tuesday will be the next TV game after that. Tuesday here against the Rangers. Kiva Sampson warming up with the Diamondback bullpen. Here's Ildemaro Vargas. Started the game at third base and is now taken over at shortstop. So far 0 for 3. He struck out and reached in a wild pitch in the first inning. Scored on a Jason Priddy RBI single. Diamondbacks will play the Giants twice this weekend. Here Saturday, Robbie Ray starts that game. Then at Scottsdale Stadium Sunday, a 1:05 first pitch for Archie Bradley. Hard to third. Noriega gloves it and throws him out, 2 down. Gabriel Noriega at third.
Yeah, nice play by Noriega down there. That was a good approach that time by Vargas. He had the third baseman drawn in just a little bit, protecting against a possible bunt, and Vargas tried to slap the ball by him, hit it hard, but unfortunately right into the glove of Noriega at third.
Chris Herman has singled and struck out twice, 1 for 3, the DH today. Broken bat roller to second. Rivera's there. And Scahill works a 1-2-3, 7th to the 8th inning we go. Diamondbacks lead the Brewers 6-3. River Fields at Talking Stick in Scottsdale. The Diamondbacks lead the Brewers 6-3. Hey fans, you can customize your own ticket pack with the D-backs mini plan. Get the best seats for the lowest prices, including lower level tickets for opening day and the series against teams like the Indians, the Cubs, the Dodgers, and more. For tickets, visit dbacks.com/mini-plan. Kiva Sampson is on to start the 8th inning for the Diamondbacks. Some defensive changes around him. I think we might see a game, Bob, this spring where Christopher DeGrone plays all 9 positions.
It could happen.
He's in there at shortstop now. The numbers last year with the Reds for Kiva Sampson. DeGrone has taken over at shortstop. So far today, he's played center field, left field, now shortstop. Jake Gober takes over in left. Ildemaro Vargas replaces Domingo Leyba at second base. DeGrone at shortstop. Delwell Lugo still at third.
I'm a little puzzled myself.
Yeah.
Sogard came out of the ball game at shortstop, but hitting here leading off the inning. It is spring training after all.
Eric Sogard had been replaced at shortstop by Mauricio Dubon, but he just took the at-bat. And there's Negron, now the shortstop. So here we go. I know they had some rules changes in the offseason. Maybe we missed that one. Now here's Dubon batting in the third base spot. This is where Shaw was, but Shaw's come out of the game, and he was replaced by Gabriel Noriega. High chopper, tough play. Ildemaro Vargas can't quite make it. And Dubon is aboard.
Nice effort there by Vargas. That's really all he could do on that play. Try to smother it on that short hop and throw on to first for the possible out, but just couldn't quite get there quickly enough. That ball was bounced off of home plate high in the air up the middle. You got the second base bag coming into play there as well. Tough play for Vargas.
Infield single, and a big power hitting first baseman Jesus Aguilar. 0 for 3. And he's grounded out 3 times. .140 home runs over the course of nearly a decade in the minor leagues. Hit 30 last year with the Indians AAA team at Columbus. Kiva Sampson ahead 0-2. Oscar Hernandez, the new catcher behind the plate, placing Chris Iannetta. That one goes right through Oscar. Dubon moves up to second. Boy, he looks like a RoboCop or something back there with that outfit. That looks cool.
Yeah, the first time I saw a catcher wearing that all gray catcher's gear, I said he looked like a galvanized trash can behind home plate. Oscar does have some red on the chest protector as well as on the mask, so I won't call him a trash can.
He's had a good spring. 1-2 pitch from Kiva Sampson. Scoop there in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kivas 18 appearances with the Reds last year, all but 2 of them in relief. He is a converted starter. He spent most of last year in AAA Louisville. Worked just over 62 innings and had a 1.88 ERA. He pitched well in the minors last year. He's got a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer with a changeup. A slider that works pretty well from time to time.
Oh boy.
Full count to Aguilar, 3-2. Kirk Neuenhuis on deck. Neuenhuis homer to lead off the 5th.
Good velocity from Sampson. Fastball sitting consistently in the mid-90s, can reach the upper 90s if he reaches back and tries to put a little extra on it.
He's got a little spike curveball in his repertoire as well that'll throw from time to time. He can get some bite on that pitch.
That one came to eat. Fastball at 93 with some sinking action inside.
That'll play.
Yeah.
Kiva Sampson's issue has always been control. 2 years ago, he averaged 4.5 walks for every 9 innings pitched. Last year, just over 6 walks per 9. Another 3-2. Once again, Aguilar fouls it off. Kiva Sampson, a 4th-round pick by the Padres in '09 out of high school in Ocala, Florida. San Diego waived him just before the 2015 season. And the Reds let Sampson go after 2 years last November. This is crushed but foul over the bullpen and left. And onto the concourse. That was a big league foul ball.
Aguilar just battling that fastball inside. Got jammed earlier in the sequence. That time got the barrel on it, but pulled a foul down the left field line. Should be set up for that slider away, maybe that spike curveball away. You definitely made him aware inside on the fastball.
They set up away. Sampson just couldn't quite kick it. Negron at shortstop makes the play. Dubon in at third.
Did come back with a breaking ball away there. Looked like that little tight slider and got a defensive swing from the hitter. Soft contact. That'll work.
I'll do it.
So 2 down. Runner at third for Nieuwenhuis, who has struck out, homered, and walked. He scored twice today. Diamondbacks have the shift on. You can see Christopher Negron, the only defender on the third base side of the infield.
Yeah, we had a similar situation the other day against Team Mexico with a left-handed pull hitter at the plate. The Diamondbacks played the defensive shift with a runner at third base, and nobody to hold that runner at third. Walk halfway down the line as the pitch is being delivered.
And Negron can't stray too far away from that bag. Kiva Sampson behind 3-0 on Nieuwenhuis. There's a strike, and it's 3-1. Gabriel Noriega on deck. Swing and a miss. The count is full 3-2. Diamondbacks about hit Milwaukee 7-5. They lead it 6-3. The headline today, Taijuan Walker, who looked electric. 4 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts. He did not allow a hit. Kiva Sampson behind 3-0 on Nieuwenhuis. Comes back to get the strikeout. Bottom 8 coming up. 6-3 as we start the home half of the 8th inning. Taijuan Walker put on an absolute show here today. 4 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts. At one point, Walker struck out 6 in a row. Osvaldo Arcia, the home run to lead off the 4th inning, his second of the spring. Nick Ahmed has a pair of RBI extra base hits. And it's 6-3 Diamondbacks, as David Goforth, the right-hander, will pitch the bottom of the 8th inning for Milwaukee.
And Diamondbacks offensively also took advantage of a couple of Brewer errors in that 6th inning. Error by the third baseman allowed Chris Iannetta to reach on Nick Ahmed's triple that followed. There was an error on the relay throw back into the infield, so Diamondbacks tacked on a couple more thanks to the Brewers' shoddy defense.
And one defensive change for Milwaukee. Number 99, Garrett Cooper, has come into the ball game. He'll take over at first base. Osvaldo Arcia, 1 for 3 with that home run, leads off the 8th. Brewers will put the shift on. Of course, Osvaldo Arcia's younger brother, Orlando Arcia, plays shortstop for Milwaukee. He is not here today. This is a split squad game for the Brewers. The other half of their ball club is home in Maryvale, hosting the White Sox. So there was no Arcia brother reunion here today. Well, he's a really good young shortstop, Orlando Arcia. Here is Osvaldo. Daniel Gibson, the left-hander, warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. Still 0-2. Jason Pridey on deck. Pridey had an RBI single in the first. Here's a look at the defensive alignment against Osvaldo Arcia. Here's another drive off the bat of Arcia. And what a catch at the wall by Roach. He's right there. Victor Roach with a nice catch in front of the wall.
Maybe a little bit of topspin on that line drive to right field. Arcia really clubbed that ball, but Roach looked like he had a beat on it the entire time. Never took his eye off the ball. Makes the catch about a step in front of the barrier out there in right field. That ball was struck well.
Second hard hit ball today for Arcia.
Make it smaller.
Jason Pridey 1 for 3. A single, an RBI, and a stolen base. Pridey playing first base today for the Diamondbacks. Paul Goldschmidt is with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. They are getting ready in less than a half hour, in fact, to play their first WBC game against Colombia at Marlins Park in Miami. Goldie is in the starting lineup, batting cleanup. First base Cooper is there, 2 down. Noel Lugo now, the third baseman.
Played together in
Lugo just 22 years old. And his numbers in the minors last year with Visalia and Mobile, 311 and 17 homers. Oscar Hernandez on deck for the Diamondbacks. Lugo sends this out to Phillips in left, and he's got it. Go for it, the 1-2-3-8. We head to the ninth. It's 6-3 Diamondbacks. Brewers 6-3. And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the left-hander Daniel Gibson, to get in one inning of work. Got some defensive changes behind him. The numbers in Mobile and Reno last year, 6-1, and ERA right at 3.5.
Solid season for Daniel Gibson last year, pitching today with Archie Bradley's beard. They're sharing it.
A few defensive changes behind him. Kevin Crone has come into the game. He'll play first base. Stuart Imes, the new left fielder, and Jake Gobert has replaced Osvaldo Arcia in right. Daniel Lockhart takes over. He's the new second baseman. Gabriel Noriega. Shortstop for Christopher Negron. One away.
Mentioned Daniel Lockhart in there at second base, wearing number 57 up from minor league camp. He's the son of former major leaguer Keith Lockhart. He used to actually, Daniel used to be with the Chicago Cubs, played with my son Michael a couple of different places.
It's a good look at him. Come on, Brett. Brett Phillips, a 2-run single his last time up, 1 for 3. Shift is on. Daniel Gibson, 25 years old, a 7th round pick by the Diamondbacks 4 years ago out of the University of Florida. Has worked exclusively in relief as a setup man in the minors. Gibson began last year at AA Mobile. He was really good there. 1 earned run and just over 22 innings of work. But then went to Reno, and as many pitchers often do, got hit a little bit in the Coast League. And the control got away from Daniel a bit at Reno. He walked nearly as many as he struck out. Rule the catcher on deck.
That first go round in the Pacific Coast League can be a shocking experience for some pitchers. Now, there are a few ballparks in the Coast League that are very pitcher favorable. Heavy air, lots of rain, thick grass. But for the most part in the Pacific Coast League, it's arena baseball.
Yeah, certainly at Reno.
Yeah.
Talked to Braden Shipley and some of the other guys about that, trying to pitch in the Coast League at AAA and trying to hit in the Southern League at AA.
Yeah.
Some of that heavy southern air with all that humidity and a lot of rain. Full count, 3-2. Called strike 3. Got him.
Great location. Right there at the knees on the outside corner. Nothing Phillips could do with that pitch.
Well, that'll work all day.
All day.
Beautiful. Dustin Uhl, the catcher. Montreal Canadiens used to have a great player, Réjean. I don't think they're related, but here he is. That's all I got in the 9th inning. At least these guys have numbers and names on the back.
Nice. Yeah, that helps.
We had about 5 pitchers from Team Mexico the other day. None of them had names or numbers on the backs of their jerseys. That was interesting. Two more TV games coming up, fans, for you. Diamondbacks and Giants here tomorrow. We're on the air at 1 o'clock. Robbie Ray takes on the Giants. And we're back with you on the TV side Tuesday here against the Texas Rangers.
Should be a lot of fun tomorrow. The Giants, to steal an NCAA football phrase, they travel well. A lot of fans come down from the Bay Area to watch the Giants and have for years and years.
You walk through Old Town these days and all you see is black and orange. Folks in town to watch the Giants. Boy, Oscar with that RoboCop catcher's gear. He's got the sun gleaming off the helmet.
Get his infielders to complain, you know, too much glare off the catcher.
Look at that. Beautiful day in Scottsdale. Not a cloud in the sky. Very comfortable. This is out to right. Colbert's not going to get there. It's over his head. Bounces off the wall. A 2-out double.
Went down and got that one. That's not a bad pitch from Daniel Gibson down there below the knees over the middle of the plate, but gets the barrel on it, drives it all the way to the wall and right.
And the hitter is Victor Roche, the outfielder. 4 homers in the minor leagues last year. Popped him up near the D-backs dugout and drifting out of play. Robbie Ray gets the ball tomorrow against the Giants, and Diamondbacks play the Giants again Sunday at Scottsdale Stadium. That's an Archie Bradley start. There's an off day on Monday, and then back with you Tuesday against the Rangers on the TV side. After that, games at the Cubs and the Brewers. Have to get over there next week to see that Cub game on Wednesday. Any chance to get out to Sloan Park? That's a 7:05 a night game. Well, they've been packing them in at Sloan Park this spring. A lot of Cub fans all over the valley. Here's the OT. Just missed inside. Stu Sherwater says, That was a good pitch. the strikeout. Oscar Hernandez will complete it, and the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers 6-3. So Arizona evens its Cactus League record at 7-7 as they welcome in the Giants tomorrow. Boy, the story here, Bob. Holy cow, Taijuan Walker.
Unbelievable today. I mean, we heard the big unit, Randy Johnson, say he looks like he's in mid-season form. I don't know how you can get any better than what he did today. Everything working well, pitching aggressively, throwing strikes, looked outstanding.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker, 4 scoreless innings. He had 8 strikeouts, and at one point struck out 6 consecutive Brewers hitters. So the Diamondbacks get the win here, 6-3 the final score. We're back with you on the TV side tomorrow. We'll join you at 1 o'clock, a 1:10 first pitch, when Robbie Ray takes on the San Francisco Giants. For our cast and crew, my partner Bob Brenly, I'm Steve Berthune. Thanks for watching D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. And we'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon from Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. So long, everybody.